do you think is the best way to combat this media environment from a viewer standpoint? I don't know. I think I'm still organizing my duders. I'll try to set up Loomly tonight. It's probably going to be like a full court press on like clip related stuff and trying to sloganeer. I guess the thing is that like, man, I'm going to be totally honest. Trying to not cram, I don't need to cram. Trying to study for the LSAT to see if I could get like an insane score to get like into a good law school and just like going that route actually seems like a lot of fun. The more like law stuff I look into, everything involving litigation honestly just seems like a ton of fun. And I'm like wealthy enough that I can like retire or open like a private practice and just kind of like take fun cases, I guess, because it just seems like a fun time. You guys are putting Abathurst in chat, but this would be like me retiring from streaming. This would be not me streaming at all anymore. The issue is that when I'm looking into like even the alternative media sphere, I just don't know. I feel like super on an island, and it's not like a good feeling. Like even when I look at people that I could, because I've tried to consider like, okay, I understand Jenk's media strategy. You find alliances where you can find alliances, and then you kind of like build commonality from there so that you can expand to other audiences. But it just feels like I just don't know if I can compromise that much. Like I already feel bad enough over the Candace Jordan and Ben Shapiro convos. Like it just doesn't feel good. I don't feel good about those conversations. And then now to have to like try to build bridges, and it's even crazier. It's even worse. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. Some states don't require you to go to law school to take the bar exam. Maybe, but they require like 200 hour or whatever, like equivalent. They require tons of hours of like, you have to spend time, not volunteering, interning, working in like a law office or a court or something. It's fuck all that. Do you need to build bridges, at least for Pierce? It feels like they keep calling you in for the content. Do I need to build bridges? I mean, I don't need to. I mean, we'll need to for what? I can always have some impact. It's just like what level of impact. Papa Sao 87, thanks for the 10 gifted subs. You and Decoding the Gurus are the most like actually look at the underlying info people I consume on the internet. It does feel like a lonely space as those guys aren't in the activist tier of effort. Oh yeah, those guys actually seem okay, pretty rarely, but. Why do you want to abandon the career growth and uplift you've had so far to pursue law school now? It's not a law school in general. Just this media environment just feels like it just feels like insane to me. It feels crazy to me. Or I could just like drop the Vibrance and just go back to like more variety of content. Like bring back the drama and shit. So there's like more variety of stuff. I guess as I've like dove deeper, not dove. As I've dove deeper into like just like reading and research, like things feel significantly stupider than they were before. I guess like before, I would consider myself one of the more knowledgeable people in the debater space, just doing whatever bullshit reading I did just because the standards are so low. But now after doing more research, now it feels like really, really stupid. It feels really dumb. Delve deeper? Oh yeah, delve deeper. Jesus. You need to work hard with Brian Tyler Cohen and that space. I haven't explored Brian's stuff enough, but the only thing I worry about is that there are like, it's hard to find people that exist in a bubble that disagree with me on topics that I would consider legitimately like disagreeable topics. So like, for instance, like, I can have conversations with people and I can tolerate some level of disagreement, but like, so Kyle Kulinski, I think is the best example. I think that when it comes to a lot of domestic policy things, I think that Kulinski is to the left of me on probably quite a bit of it, but like, it's acceptable. Like I think reasonable minds can disagree on a lot of stuff like that, like Econoboy, and there's a couple others like in that like sphere that are like to the left of me, but that's okay. I can tolerate that. But then like foreign policy takes come up, and it's like I can't co-sign or be involved. I don't even want to be anywhere remotely near these things. Like if somebody starts dropping these foreign policy takes near me, I have to like go nuclear. It's just insane. I think focusing on building up other people as part of a larger media company can help and be interesting maybe. Well, the problem isn't just the supply. So like I'm technically like the supply there, and I can induce like a little bit of demand. But I just don't think there's not like a huge, like there's a ton of demand for what I do for like a single person. And so far, like obviously I'm successful and I do good on my own, like as that. But in terms of like a large part of the media sphere, I don't know how much demand, like if I had to like ballpark if I had to ballpark my footprint on like YouTube politics in terms of people that would be like amenable, is that the word I'm looking for? Amenable? How do you pronounce this word? To my position.
Amenable.
I don't even know how big the total space is. Like I feel like it'd be like around like 1 to 3%, maybe. Maybe around there. And obviously if I'm the only one occupying that space, it's obviously really good for me. But if I just start filling it, like if the space were to fill with more people similar to me, I don't know if it's like ever expanding. Yeah, I'm not sure. Is the problem the medium, i.e. video content, is just more stupid than written? No, written content can be really stupid as well. But I mean, you always have to adapt to new mediums, right? What, like radio came out and that was a huge thing. You have to adapt to radio. TV came out, you got to adapt to TV. Like, yeah. Start evil maxing, use your death note skills to manipulate the media environment from the inside. I think that there are strategies down that road, but they're too compromising, I think, on what I would care to do. Do you feel a responsibility to be a voice of reason in the coming chaos? I mean, like a little bit, but also like realistically, like as an individual lone person, I'm not going to be like shifting huge demographics or swaths of people. The thing that worries me about your media company thing is I feel like you demand some ideological purity around certain issues like foreign policy that would make it hard for you to find content creators who are not just copy pasting you on everything, and then why bother? That's not true though. It's hard for me to just find anybody that just knows anything. Like there are pro-Palestinian arguments if people engage factually that I would be okay with. Even if I would disagree with them, I'd be like, okay, sure. Like at least you're like engaging with the facts, right? Like if you Israelis came there, well, Europeans came there. They shouldn't have. 48 war happened. There's been an indefinite occupation. It doesn't look like that's going away anytime soon. Israel is arguably inheriting or is arguably furthering at least an apartheid-like situation to where they simultaneously want to expand into occupied territory, but the only way the expansion into the occupied territory is legal is if it's not considered occupied territory, so they want to have it both ways. Israel doesn't represent the greatest strategic interest for the United States anymore. If we had to choose between just having Israel or having every other Arab state in the region aligned to us, perhaps choosing every other Arab state would actually be better. You kick Israel out, you get rid of a giant schism in the Middle East that turns people against the U.S., you remove a lot of the incentive for those people to not like us. There's arguments down there where, but nobody, I don't think, like I'm making these arguments on the fly. I've never heard anybody make these arguments before. All the arguments on the other side are just so fucking retarded. Like Israel bad, Jew bad, go back to Brooklyn. It's like, okay, you're like rope. But I'm pretty sure Lonerbox, I think that, yeah, like I'm pretty sure he disagrees with me on a few things prescriptively and descriptively, on Israel Palestine, but I've never felt like he's like a crazy person, you know? Or like a lunatic or an idiot. I just want people to read. I just want people to read and then have like an underlying grasp of the facts and then fight from those grounds. That's all I want. Is that too much? That's like my ideological purity. It's just like engage with the material. I feel like you would actually just really enjoy academia. Maybe. I mean, it would depend on the space, but I'm sure academia probably has all of its own like political, like office politics, corporate politics type of stuff as well. So I don't know. Yeah. Geez, the country is just like fucking insane right now. I guess we'll see how these next 4 years go. Why do you think people avoid engaging with the material? I think that people have a view of the world that is part of like a group they belong to. And then when you venture out into the world, you're just kind of like looking for stuff that agrees with that view. So not only are you looking for stuff that agrees with that view, I mean, like it's all, I've said this many times, it's all like incentives, right? Like if you're a person and you go out into the world, there's going to be like some content that you disagree with. There's going to be some content that you agree with. And most people, because you don't have the background to like differentiate between what is like true and what's not true, because most people don't know what like the intricacies of fucking monetary policy or foreign policy, whatever. And I wouldn't expect most people to, right? So like, you know, some people might go this way, but like most people are going this way, right? And once you start getting information in this environment, once you start listening to these types of people, like you're immediately kind of roped into all of the other kind of thoughts and ideas like from people in this environment. I think this is very similar, in my opinion, to how like cults work. And it's why it's so hard to break people out of cults if they're still in the cult itself, right? Because even if every now and then they happen to bump into an opinion where they're like, oh, you know, I haven't considered this before. As soon as they finish like contemplating this opinion, they're back in the cult, right? And then they're back in their media environment where they're like getting all these, you know, reinforcing opinions from this whole group of people. And there's just not much there's not really any reward at any point of this. None of this is selecting for true or false. It's just selecting for kind of like what reinforces my personal, not even what reinforces, it's like what makes me happy, what satisfies me. Like when I go out and I look for content, like what do I want to watch? right? Like if I'm like I guess, I don't know, because I don't consume content this way, but it seems like it. Like if I'm like a normie political person and I'm going on YouTube, and let's say I'm a person who watches like Timcast, right? Well, I'm going to come on and I'm going to watch this.
If you're dumb enough
and like, what am I turning this on for right now? Am I really turning this on with the desire to learn something? Or am I turning this on because I want to hear a guy say what I want to hear, right? I'm never having a belief challenged on any of these shows, right? I'm never hearing anything that's like kind of confrontational to the things that I believe. I'm using the right wing as an example, but it's pretty true of the left wing as well, right? I'm never hearing anything like confrontational here or anything that challenges me. It's just stuff that kind of like makes me feel good about myself and like reinforces my view of the world. So the issue that you run into is if you have two people that are, you know, in this environment, and one guy can give you even more things that make you feel good about yourself versus another guy. This guy is like always getting more views, even if he's not factually true. And so there's nothing about this media environment that selects for people that are more honest or more factually correct, unless the non-factual stuff or the incorrect stuff eventually like roots into something that is measurable and there's like a consequence for being unfactual, right? Incorrect. But there's not, because you can just lie about everything and nobody ever really gets caught and nobody really reduces anything to any kind of like consequence. So like, why not just keep lying? And these media environments are just so obnoxious. I think what's frustrating is the lack of genuine nuance in these discussions. Finding someone who provide genuine critiques towards Israel and the Palestinians. Yeah, but who cares about genuine nuance, right? Like you have to be like a nuance enjoyer. And it almost feels like at that point, you're just like selecting for another political bubble of things that make you feel good. And the thing that makes you feel good is like the nuance enjoying. But it's not necessarily, but like this is a small subset of people who are almost politically relevant, I guess. I don't know, it just feels stupid, but. Bitcoin CEO. Is this guy like a regular on the show now? God, this guy was fucking something. Okay. Anyway.
He is anti-war and highly suspicious of institutions. They support homegrown manufacturing jobs and the working class. Above all, they're very good at selling a vision of how things could be better for everyone. Right now, that all sounds a lot like, well, MAGA. Voters clearly agree. Black voters, Latino voters, young voters, working class voters, and voters with no college degree have all flocked to the big red tent. Even First Lady Jill Biden now appears to love Trump and loathe Harris as much as anybody. But the big problem with big tents...
just to remind you, because him and everybody else, they always present this as like a fucking blowout landslide victory. Oh fuck, even I've been saying 3 or 4 million. This election was like about 2.3 million votes between the two candidates. 48.4% versus 49.9%. About 2.5 million votes, or less than 2.5 million votes between both, yeah. Do you find your community much different than what you've described? Don't you think most of us are here because you align with their political beliefs one way or another, and they're here for the same reason someone would go and watch Tim Pool all day? No, I feel like my community is a bit different than that. I'm not saying that everybody's like a bastion of like free speech or whatever, but I think the difference is that one, when you come to my stream, you're not getting like, this is what progressives think, or this is what conservatives think, or this is what centrists think, or this is what whatever. And then two, I think that there are things that my community does disagree with me on, which is fine. As long as they're not autistic about it.
Is that the people who've been inside them for the longest are highly suspicious of newcomers. In a moment, we'll...
Wait, what is it?
Nah, we're not adding no animated.
Would you say Trump won by half of 1.5%? What? No, I don't think I would. That sounds like the most confusing stat in the world.
Nah, we're not adding no animated skins to Counter-Strike 2.
How did you do it when most people just watched it and not be challenged? How are you successful? A lot is on presentation, obviously because it's fun to watch me bully people. I'm decently entertaining. And the second thing is there are some people that like care about, you know, particular types of discussions or factual discussions or whatever. Like, there are some people that care. But I'm just saying it's not like a large part of the media, or it's not a large part of the population, I think, yeah.
Nah, we're not adding no animated skins to Counter-Strike 2. That takes away from the aesthetic. Yeah, the skins already look good. We don't need the animated effects where you have a dragon come and reload for you. Fucking gay-ass fairy bullshit. This ain't Skyrim, motherfucker. This is Counter-Strike. We are fucking terrorists up in this bitch. We are blowing up nuclear fucking facilities.
Okay, all right.
We'll debate this and more with a star.
Dustin, you literally, deliberately, intentionally purge your community of differing viewpoints and perspectives while proclaiming that you will never believe what they believe, and the belief can be UBI and free college. No, I don't think I've ever banned people for being UBI or free college supporters, but okay.
Our panel, all of whom have copped a public backlash for shifting their positions. But I'll begin with the OG of the political trans movement, Dave Rubin, creator and host of the Rubin Report, he wants to respond to my recent interview with his former colleague, Anna Kasparian. Well, Dave, great to have you on Uncensored. So look, we had Anna on. Very interesting pivot that she's been making in the last few months. But obviously you and her have a bit of history. And in the interest of fair-minded balance, this is your chance to say what you want to say by way of response to it.
Sure. You know, funny, I enjoyed your intro there. I guess I did sort of get on the trans thing early. It just wasn't about my genitals.
Verdict on Piers, content god or content cuck? I mean, from a content perspective, I think Piers is good content. I think they've obviously like honed in on a good formula for their shows. I mean, from like a health of the country and media perspective, I would say obviously it's incredibly damaging. It feels, maybe there are other shows that I'm missing, but it feels like he's incredibly biased towards one perspective. And when the host is super against you and is like dictating all of the questions and dialogue, it's very, very, very hard to like get in a word edgewise or to like move the conversation in a positive direction. Yeah.
Did
response to it.
Sure. You know, funny, I enjoyed your intro there. I guess I did sort of get on the trans thing early.
To be honest, your philosophical takes on the background process of human behavior is your best content, I guess. But then, like, sometimes people will listen to me. I just don't like, because like that whole thing that I just went through about like, oh, like people just want to have their own things reinforced and blah, blah, like every single person in the world will listen to what I just said and be like, wow, that guy's super right, and then think that they're the ones in the nuanced like political view section. So it's like, I don't know. All right.
It just wasn't about my genitals. Look, Piers, you're absolutely right. What Donald Trump represents, and then I will address the Anna situation, but what Donald Trump represents right now is something that is well beyond conservative versus liberal or left versus right or anything else. It's a restoration of the American dream. It is a wide tent party that has now brought in classical liberals, not only like myself, but Tulsi Gabbard and RFK, who will be in the administration itself, or someone like...
Just to be clear, like when you talk about like classical liberalism, I think that you're generally talking about things like you're generally talking about, I feel like classical liberalism is almost like your kind of like Bill of Rights plus capitalism. Like you're talking about like freedom of the press, freedom, like right to organize assembly, freedom, religion, like capitalistic environments where you have like, I guess like broadly speaking, when you say classical liberalism, I don't think that, I wonder if they even mention populism in here. Classical liberal parties worldwide. I don't like these political labels that are too like nebulous to like actually like iron or like pin down. Like if you would ask Dave Rubin, what is a classical liberal? I wonder what he would say, because Donald Trump is like very squarely and clearly a populist. But I don't even know if people know when they say that. I don't know. This is why I don't like political labels. I think I said this years ago. Yeah. But it feels weird to be like whatever classical liberal is, I think that would stand in staunch opposition to isolationism and protectionism as like economic policy. Like I think that would be pretty, I think those things would be contrary no matter how you define classical liberal, but I don't even know what he means. It's just like, this is like a phrase that he likes and he just says it. He's emoting.
Of the American dream. It is a wide tent party that has now brought in classical liberals, not only like myself, but Tulsi Gabbard and RFK, who will be in the administration itself, or someone like Elon Musk, who was basically a default lefty his entire life. And it has brought them in...
Like Elon Musk was a default lefty his entire life. Like, what does that even mean? Like if I were to break down, like, what did he just say?